Welcome to Overdrive AF, the official podcast of Overdrive Fitness. My name is Teddy Gerzon, and I'm joined by Gina Marie Gerzon. Today we have a special guest, Jason Vosler. For some reason, Derek Jeter couldn't make it, so I guess we'll settle for Jason Vosler. It's just totally cool. All right, so...
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah, let's start this off. Happy New Year. I guess I'll be a little cheesy and go with what everybody's tweeting right now. 2020 vision.
I thought we were going to segue into we are the official podcast of the vegan, anti-vegan, meat-eating, loving, not meat-eating, loving.
Plant-based, carnivorous.
Plant-based, non-plant-based. Ketogenic, non-ketogenic, gluten-free, no soy, double your soy, no sugar podcast. No? You went over that.
Not fair trade, though. We want to work those kids to death. Or near death. Whatever. To each their own. It's the new year, and everybody is going to start packing all the gyms everywhere with some bullshit-ass resolutions. So what's your take on that?
Well, what our topic, right? We're going to talk about our topic.
Yeah.
Fuck your goals, change your habits.
Topic number one, fuck your goals, change your habits.
Yeah. So, right, we put out all these goals. It's New Year's. I'm going to lose 20 pounds in the next 8 weeks. I'm going to hit a size 2 by the summer. I'm going to stop smoking in a month. All these goals that people set themselves up for, right? So I was doing some research, and we were talking about goals, and then what's really the issue is your habits, what your daily habits are. And so the Max Planck Institute is located in Leipzig, Germany, so I apologize if I'm not pronouncing this properly, but it houses about 43 Nobel Prize winning scientists, and they contribute research on a daily basis. So they did this research in about 2007, I believe. So it had to do with the influence of the brain and decision making. So they used something called a functional magnetic imaging machine, and what it does is it watches blood flow in the brain, and so it gave the subjects that they were using tasks. They asked them questions, gave them tasks, so they had to make those decisions. And by watching the blood flow in the brain, they could predict with great accuracy the decision the person was going to make. And the conclusion that they came to was that your brain actually makes a decision a full 7 seconds before your body actually makes that decision for you, right? So your brain is actually doing the work. That habit-based part of your brain, that reptilian part of your brain, so basically your fight or flight response, your survival mechanism. So when we talked about habits in the last podcast, right, we were talking about your brain doesn't know good or bad habits, it just knows habits. And whatever those habits are, so if you get up in the morning and say, like I was talking to Jason this morning before we started, hey, if you're a smoker, you light up that first cigarette, right? Mm-hmm. Or you get up, you brush your teeth, you get in the shower, you head to work. Or you get up in the morning, you run to the bathroom, you make yourself breakfast, or not eat breakfast, or not eat until 3 o'clock in the afternoon when you're dragging. So these are all habits, right?
I feel attacked.
I'm sure. Hangry, yeah, I know. So we learn through repetition, and again, before we started the podcast, we were talking about habits and learning through repetition and how we learn, and I was talking to Jason about that too. We learn through repetition, and that becomes habitual, right? So your body stores those neural pathways, and even if you think about some of the clients that I work with, right? So clients with traumatic brain injury, nerve damage, even athletes with injuries, right? So we talk about how do we...
Amputees.
And amputees too, right? Exactly. Which we have all those. We have all those types of athletes at Overdrive, right? So all different types of people that we work with. And it's just like riding a bike, everything's through repetition. And we have to learn through that repetition, right? So swinging the bat, right? So if you're Jason too, right? There's certain cues that you have to go through. I'm sure Jason tweaks those things, everybody will go through those. Okay, let's step back a little bit, rotate your hips through a little more, blah, 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 all those things. Deadlifting, right, we're talking about. Drive your toes into the ground. We want to drag our toes to our heels, create more tension through the foot. Creating those habits to create that outcome you want. So we have to do that in life. If we're constantly waking up in the morning and we're lighting that first cigarette, your body only knows those habits. Or if you wake up in the morning and the first thing you do is shove 3 donuts in your mouth, that's just a habit that you follow. We have to break those habits in order for us to get to what we want, what we're really looking for, that change. And they say too that your emotions, right? Your emotions and that survival instinct is basically what runs you. So once you change that and you create better habits, that things will change in your outside environment. It has to change on the inside first. So if you're cool with smoking the pack of cigarettes every day, waking up every morning, or if you're cool with, hitting the snooze button 10 times, oh shit, I missed the gym again, 5 a.m., fuck. All right, well, I guess I'll start tomorrow, and then the next Monday comes, and the next Monday comes, the next Monday comes, and it's 3 months later, and then it's, where's that goal? That goes far beyond what you started with, don't you think?
Absolutely. So hence, fuck your goals. Change
your habits. Yeah.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to wait for a specific day every year to hit that reset button to change your life. It just should. If you want to make changes, just fucking change it.
Yeah.
Don't give yourself an excuse.
That's what they say, right? By the third week, we were talking about this. Jason and I were talking about this too. We talked about it a lot before the podcast started. I think it was about 97% of those people that make those, they create those quote-unquote goals. By that third week of January, the goals are shot. They're done. They're gone, out of existence. And they're back to their old ways. That's just the way that, just the way it happens. We have to change those habits.
I would say also one of the biggest habits that people should probably change if they want to start seeing success too is stop the habit of wanting everything yesterday. If you want to see any type of success towards your health and fitness goals, it's not going to happen right away. Like, you didn't get fat overnight. It wasn't that one fork full of food. It was the one fork full of food that you shouldn't have had every goddamn day of your life. One thing we tried one time, one of my athletes to lose weight was I actually had his parents chain up and put padlocks on all the cabinets and the fridges in the house, and he was able to lose 50 pounds. No, I'm kidding. I didn't really do that. I suggested it, but we didn't really do it. But sometimes it's the little things. You don't have to get so drastic about it, but just getting in the habit of, making those small changes every day for long-term consistency. So, what was the name of that institute in Germany?
The Max Planck Institute.
What was the city? You said
Leipzig.
Yeah, I don't think you said that angry enough. It was supposed to be
Leipzig.
All right, there we go.
Was that good?
Yeah, sounds good. I felt that.
I had to come from deep down.
Deep-rooted anger. Speaking of deep-rooted anger, I guess that's a good way to segue into our sports performance topic, right?
Yeah.
So a few weeks ago, one of the topics that was suggested through Instagram was why are Gen Z kids so soft and uncoachable for the most part? Since I don't want to spend a whole year on this, I guess I'll just sum it up in as little words as possible. I mean, this is a topic that I've always had with, some of my members that are roughly my age, our age, and, I went to high school with them, or they're coaches now, or, we came up in the same time. Some of them are older than me. They're also coaches in the area. And, I to answer the question, I usually say, people are products of their environment. I have yet to meet a soft, uncoachable kid that had parents who held them to high standards and were accountable. So as easy as it is for a lot of coaches my age and older to say, like, oh, these kids are totally different and they're so soft, it's all on the kids, they're kids. They only know what they know, and they only know what they've been taught. And as much as we think we can change them in the 1 to 3 hours a day we may see them, 3 to 4 times a week, they're going home to that toxic environment. So a lot of it, I believe, and I'm just going to say it, put myself out there, but I do think it's really on the parents, So if the kids they're such babies, they're always whining, they're just mentally soft. Maybe it's because they're being coddled so much at home. If they can't take criticism, then what's going on at home? That they're broken down just by the tone of someone's voice instead of actually hearing the message that's being delivered to them. So why are Gen Z kids so soft and uncoachable? I would just have to say, maybe it starts at home. That's the foundation of their of their habits, their emotions, so parents that are listening to this, it's okay to let your kids fall and fail. If they don't ever learn how to pick themselves up and build upon that, then I don't know what to tell you. Because honestly, when it comes to working out, building muscle, you're damaging that muscle every time you come in here. When you're lifting, you're creating basically tiny fractures in the skeletal tissue that can only be seen on a microscopic level, and then that starts to calcify and creates more dense bones. Mm-hmm. So you're even on that level, that tiny level, you are failing and damaging your body, but you're becoming more callous, you're becoming more dense over time. And if you do that physically, you should be able to do that mentally. Learn to deal with failure, find out what really pisses you off, and build from there. Those of you that are going to see this on the episode on YouTube, you'll see that the dog just took off right in front of us. Just another normal day in Overdrive, and yep, eating cat food. Sweet. Totally not distracted.
I'm sorry. Good.
Yeah. Don't even know where to go from there. I guess we could just throw in a little jingle from our sponsor of the week, right? Yeah. So I think we were supposed to mention, we just got past New Year's. The next big day coming up, or at least in the retail world, would be Valentine's Day. So this week's sponsor is Chocolate Place down in Morris Park in the Bronx. And they wrote us a little song for us to sing. I don't know if I should really do it, because, I was the star of the senior play. So I should remind you that.
And I listened to every little bit of it.
I think it was something like, what was it? If you want some sweets to stuff your face, then come on down to Chocolate Place, right?
You sing it better than I do.
Nah, I just totally made that up off the cuff. I have no idea what I'm doing. But if you want some sweet-ass chocolate or candy, you want to impress your significant others or even your employees with gift baskets, chocolate-covered strawberries, whatever it is.
Handmade.
Handmade.
Artisan and handmade.
Two strongest Italian women in the Bronx, pound for pound, unofficially. But I will go on the record by saying that. And, just go down to 839 Morris Park Avenue down in the Bronx. Tell them that Overdrive sent you. And you'll definitely be taken care of. But don't wait till the last minute. For those of you that are local, every year on News 12, they're always highlighted. They have a line going down the block, down and around the block. So
it's literally all day long, from the minute they open till when they close, and they can't even close because there's still a line.
Yeah, they're there
so
from
the
4
proof is in
a.m.
the
to
pudding.
11 p.m. on Valentine's Day, and even days leading up onto that. So definitely get on top of that as soon as possible. It's not too early to start planning out your orders. And from there, let's...
the most important part of the podcast today.
Yeah, I guess you could say he's the real star. To be a little serious about it, though, I don't know where we would be if Jason or his parents didn't give us a little trust in training him. What would it be now? 11 years ago? Something like that, right?
Yeah, I think I was in 8th grade.
You were in 8th grade? I thought you were a
grade.
freshman.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, though.
Maybe it was that summer leading up to 9th grade.
Yeah.
Might have been that.
I told you, Teddy.
What? My memory is terrible?
I told you,
My
Teddy.
memory is terrible.
I said Jason, I think 13 or 14 years old, right?
And now, publicly, everyone is now hearing my wife telling me, I told you so. This is great. I guess this is what marriage is all about.
It was 15.
But, so everybody, this is, we give to you Jason Vosler, currently of the El Paso Chihuahuas, AAA minor league baseball team for the San Diego Padres. Give you a little backstory. Jason is from West Nyack, all right? It's in Rockland County, New York. He went to Don Bosco Prep, then went on to Northeastern. Got drafted your junior year? Junior year by the Cubs in the 15th round, right?
16th round.
16th round. And, yeah, you are playing a child's game for a living. That must be pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's exactly what I've always wanted to do. Obviously, the big leagues is the ultimate goal, but I still feel like I'm on that track and on that path, so, it's exciting.
Yeah, that's freaking dope. I mean, the last time I killed it in baseball, I think I was playing All-Star Baseball 2001 with Derek Jeter on the cover for Nintendo 64. I just dated myself, but yeah, that was the highlight of my life.
Yeah, maybe you'll get him in here for this.
Yeah, maybe one day. We can only hope, right? I mean, hey, you're living a dream, so that could have been probably the whitest thing I've said all podcast. But so yeah, let's start off with what was one of the things you wanted to ask you?
Oh, well, I was talking to Jason before we got everything ready, and I was kind of going to segue into what we had discussed originally through the first part of the podcast, and I was asking him, well, what helps you stay focused in season? So maybe we'll start with that. So
yeah.
What are those daily habits?
Yeah. So I think for me, I've kind of always referred to it as like my routine. So and it's stayed pretty consistent throughout the entire time I've been in professional baseball, where it's not even so much something I even think about doing. It's I have to go into the field every day. I have to get loose. I have to go take my my swings in the batting cage, getting out on the field for BP. So all that, that's kind of what keeps my focus, because I know what I have to do every day to get ready to play, and it becomes a habit, and it becomes something I don't even have to think about. It's just I know I have to do that. I know that a couple days a week I have to get a lift in season. I know I have to eat relatively healthy when I'm on the road, and so all that kind of it is a habit. I guess I've always referred to it as a routine, but I guess it's the same thing, and that kind of just keeps me on task, where I know what I have to do to be ready to play every day.
That's a great answer. That's a great
Yeah.
answer. And then we were just discussing, because I know that look, we train all different types of athletes in here, from 6, 7, 8 years old, I know, all the way up until high school, college, right, and beyond. So we were discussing, yeah, and Jason's one of those awesome people.
Yeah.
That's been, we've known him for a long time. I just remember, even from 13 and 14 years old, when Jason first started at Premier Fitness.
Rub it in.
But no, but I remember that humbleness. I remember that hard work, that ethic, that work ethic. I just remember him being very focused, and he was always so. And I'm just speaking from the heart here, because I've always been a very intuitive person. But what I'm saying is I feel from Jason, he's always been so humble, so focused, and just he's open to criticism. He's open to, okay, what can I do to make it better? I've always noticed about him, and even here every day when I see him training, when I see you training, you're open to, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to do to make it better? Okay, what's next? And he's always just been in the zone, like he's just eye on the prize type thing. Like I just always notice that every time that he's here, that's what Jason's all in.
Yeah, just a point on that too. I feel like it's almost been a blessing in disguise for me that even growing up, I was never the best player on every team I was on. I was always very good, but I was never the best, and I think that really helped me, knowing that there was always somebody on my specific team or my class or whatever it was that was better than me. So I knew that, I had to work, as hard at least, or harder than most people, if I wanted to keep on progressing up the ladder.
Mm-hmm. You just see that. But we were just discussing. So what are some of the healthy habits that you would practice to get you ready for the season, or what about even just prepping for a game? So, like I said, I know that a lot of the athletes here would appreciate hearing how you get ready and what you do on a daily basis, which we kind of went over. But even in season or even out of season. So when you have that time off, what do you need to do to keep you focused for the upcoming season, or even what you would do to prep for a game? Are there any specifics that just daily routine, like from the minute you wake up till maybe when you go to bed? How do you prep for the night for the game the next day? Or is there anything specific?
Yeah, it's kind of been, I would say, almost like a trial and error type thing throughout the years I've been playing, because baseball's a game where we do have a game every single day during those 5-6 months, whatever it is. So you kind of have to you find a way to get yourself ready for every single game, every single day. So, like we were saying before, routine does factor into that, because usually it's a 7 o'clock game. usually you're waking up at this time, whatever it is. But yeah, I would say this past year, I think I get better at it every year. I find the best ways to get myself ready. I think me and Teddy talked about this once, but I realized that if I got to the field every day and I started right away getting loose, meaning doing some sprints, doing a dynamic warm-up, even if it was hours before I was actually going to do anything or take batting practice or play a game, that kind of got me going for the day. And then I would move into my lifts. And if I did that and a lift, I felt like I was more prepared for the game just because of that. So I guess that would be specific in a way to me that I wouldn't say most people did. But then as far as just the day on a whole, most games are at 7, so the game ends 10 or 11. So we're not getting back to our places until 12 or 1. And I think earlier on in my career, I was always an early riser. So, we're getting back to our apartment at 12 or 1, going to sleep at 2, and then I'm waking up at 8 or 9. So forcing myself to sleep in on those days kind of changed my internal clock to maybe a 2 to 10 guy, 2 to 11 guy, and getting those 8 hours, 9 hours of sleep has been huge for me.
Wow.
I'm not tired when 7 o'clock rolls around. And then, I just kind of rearrange my morning as if 11 is a normal time to be waking up. So I get breakfast, maybe get a coffee, head to the field around 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm. That's he's all in his habits. That's great.
Yeah.
Keeping it at like 100 where he needs to be. Yeah.
I believe it's pronounced 100.
100.
Yeah.
But the athletes need to hear that they getting enough sleep, eating properly, staying focused, right?
Yeah.
All things that
absolutely.
Jason practices on a daily basis. So regardless of if he's going to bed at 10 p.m. or 2 a.m., he's getting those 8 hours. He knows that there's a certain amount of things that he needs to do to kind of get him ready. So getting those sprints in, getting that dynamic warm-up in, getting that lift in, right?
And even another thing on the sleep for me, it's obviously there's so many benefits with getting 8-9 hours, but it's also just a distraction if you're tired. Like it's not, your mind's not there in a game when you're just tired. So just something simple like that, it makes a huge difference getting those 8 or 9 hours.
And I know you were even talking to Teddy the other day about, right, things that you like to eat even for breakfast, or, if you feel better, right, getting that oatmeal in, those 2 eggs in, the avocado or whatever, right? You feel better when...
Even that becomes a habit for me during the season. Like, every different place I go, I kind of have my breakfast spot and I usually get the same thing. And I usually eat pretty healthy. Sometimes when we go on the road, it becomes a little more challenging because, might be surrounded by not the best places. But at home, you could control it pretty well.
Yeah. See? This is good for all of them to hear.
Absolutely.
I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah.
I know you had a few things you wanted to say too, Teddy.
Well, I just love the fact that, you have such a steady routine, going back to how important habits are, because, in almost in every sport, every team, every player is only going to be successful when you have those, that foundation of fundamentals just to always rely on, So in the sense of a day-to-day thing, that you have that foundation laid, you have that foundation laid down of, what are you doing every day so that it limits basically your decision making. Like I once heard that, Mark Zuckerberg wears the same exact thing every day. That he has the same shirt, but like let's say 50 shirts of the same exact shirt and same pants and everything. And what that does, it frees his mind from making one less decision. So in a sense, you can just kind of move through your day, not have to worry about so many little things, because you're like, all right, I know at this time I'm going to be at the ballpark, this time I'm going to lift, this time I'm definitely going to be sleeping. I haven't met anybody that didn't have a routine that wasn't successful, so, or at least, you guys get what I'm saying. So, I can obviously relate. I can relate to that. Those of you know me know how anal I am about things. Gina, don't say anything. But do you personally have to write your whole schedule down or anything like that? Or you it's like so ingrained in your body, you already know what's everything going on?
Yeah, during the season, I don't have to write anything down. It's just I know what time I have to be there, and if I'm there at that time, which I always will be, I know there's enough time to me to accomplish everything I have to accomplish, and it's relatively the same every single day. But me and Gina are actually talking before that the things I do have to write down, I have like a hitting notebook or even a fielding notebook or just a baseball notebook in general, that things that have worked for me, things that have not worked for me, whether it's in my stance or my swing or my throwing.
That's great.
Something along that lines, but I have to physically write it down with a pen and paper to kind of remember it and be able to look back at it.
Yeah. And then you get it out of your head.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. Some people call that like a brain dump.
Yeah.
So, I'm a huge fan of that because like some people here know I actually have 2 planners. I have one that's like a weekly planner where I got to write everything down that I want to accomplish that week, and then I shift that over into a daily schedule. And that second planner has the day broken down into 15-minute increments. So, if I don't free my mind of everything I have to do, then I'm just completely stressed and full of anxiety, which doesn't help too because we only get like 4 to 6 hours of sleep. But when I get in the habit, or I am in the habit as of the last several months at least, of doing all that, I found myself super successful. So I love the fact that you have a notebook for all that. I think that's something that a lot of athletes should be doing too. Just keep track of what works and doesn't work, and you could start eliminating all the things that don't work, So what do you use? Just like a regular composition notebook, or?
I think right now it's changed from year to year. I've filled up books. Right now it's just it's like a random company's notebook that I don't even know where I possibly could have gotten. But
so you're not breaking the bank on like Barnes and Noble, like
no,
for like $35.
No, I'm whatever I found in my closet or drawer, whatever it was. I write it down in there.
Get it out of your head onto paper.
Yeah, and then I know the next day that I'm not gonna forget what I was doing the day before that made me successful, or it felt like it made me successful anyway.
Yeah. All right, so let's go to a listener question. One of our athletes, Aiden Gallagher, asked, how hard is it actually to get where you are right now?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good question. It's tough to answer. For me, it's kind of been every step of the way. The thing I was really focusing on was just getting to the next step. So, when I was in high school, I wasn't, my goal was to play in the big leagues, but I wasn't thinking like, okay, I can't wait to get drafted and play in the minors and play in the big, it was just, let me get to college, and then when I got to college, it was kind of like, all right, let's see if I can get drafted. And then same thing when I got drafted, it was, I'm in single A, I want to get moved to double A. So it's kind of been so, like the steps have been so small in a way that I haven't really sat back and looked like, man, I guess it is kind of tough to get here, but it's one of those things that if I, if you kind of just put in the work and focus on those small goals every day, you kind of, you could accomplish those, and then it doesn't seem as crazy of a task. With that said, now it's feeling like I've been in AAA for a couple years now, that the hardest step is right in front of me, and it is the next step for me now. So I would say it's definitely hard to make it to the big leagues. There's no doubt about that, but making those small goals to just get to the next step, I think, is important.
Mm-hmm. It's got you to where you are now, though. So taking those little steps would be kind of like precise, very calculated, right?
Yeah.
Kind of feeling it out and stuff.
And there's one more little step, and it's the biggest step of all. So
yeah. But I like how you say it's a little step. That's awesome. It's just, you're thinking about, okay, well, that's just that's just where I got to go.
It's the top of the staircase coming up.
Yeah.
It's the last step, right?
That's what I love about Jason, is he's always so down to earth and it's like, okay, well, that's the next thing I have to do. And I think that's what's bringing you, and what's going to bring you to that next step, is that down to earth, that really humble kind of like, okay, well, this is all I've got to do. I think that's a real gift, and that's something that you either have or you don't have. That's what I've noticed about Jason from when he started.
You've always seemed to know yourself pretty well too, like obviously what works, that doesn't work. I think that you're pretty cognizant of the fact that to me, it seems like you have a lot that's always on your mind, which is great that you always write it down. Because, let's face it, baseball, if there's a lot on your mind, that can really ruin everything.
Oh, yeah.
Everything. So, let's talk about the challenges, too, you've had to deal with, too. So, like, when you got to Bosco, obviously you knew, like, you had a small goal, or at least the next step would be, like, all right, I want to play varsity. Like, that wasn't guaranteed to you when you got there.
Oh, I didn't play varsity until my junior year.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I made the small steps there, too. I was a freshman on the freshman team. I was a sophomore on the JV team. And then my junior year, I was on the varsity team.
And you got there playing shortstop, right?
Yeah.
So even the shortstops ahead of you, like, they were supposed to be, like, not, I don't mean this in a bad way, but, like, they were legit. Like,
Yeah, they were better than me.
Really good.
They were better than me, for sure. At the time, no doubt about it. I mean, I played shortstop on the freshman team, then JV, and then junior year on varsity as well. But even going into my senior year, shortstop wasn't guaranteed to me. And I wanted it. That was my position. But it wasn't – like, we had such good teams then that nothing was guaranteed no matter who you were. Even though I was committed to a Division I college, there was 10, 15 other guys that were either committed or going to commit to a Division I college.
Yeah.
So, there was always a lot of competition
And
there.
they already
helped.
knew, like, their junior year, sophomore year, where they were going.
And they were going to these big schools. They were going to South Carolina. They were going to Vanderbilt. They were going to these SEC, ACC type schools. And I was going, Northeastern's not big-time baseball program by any means. So we had some good teams. But I think that really does help out in the long run because you're constantly competing in practice every day, so that helped a lot.
And it basically forced you to focus on basically just being present, like knowing what's in front of you, what you got to do to get better, as opposed to feeling like so overwhelmed, like I have all this pressure to do X, Y, and Z. Like you're like, all right, this guy's in front of me, he's really good. I need to just focus on, let's say, getting on base more, or
and it also helped me
simple
with being a freshman, looking at that varsity team. I had a baseline to look at of guys who were going Division I or getting drafted because that team had 3 or 4 guys drafted out of high school that year. So I looked at them and I could see what I have to grow into in order to get where I wanted to be. So that was great just seeing that on a daily basis.
And those teams like never lost.
They did. I think they were 33-0 and ranked top 5 nationally at the end of the year. Yeah, they were unbelievable.
I remember one year, right? Was it your junior year? There was all this hype. You guys were supposed to play Zavarian, or was
I remember that name. Might have been before me.
Supposed to play it was at one of the city schools, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know if Bosco can hang with them. They only play metal bats, and in the city they play wood bats."
Yeah, I think that team had I can't remember their names right now. I do remember that team, but I don't know if we ever played them. Maybe that wasn't my year.
Yeah, it was probably. I think maybe it was your sophomore year, but I remember reading about.
Maybe that's what it was, and I was on the JV team.
Yeah. And then you guys wound up killing them.
Yeah.
I don't think. Like, oh, these guys play wood bats in the summer. I totally forgot.
I don't think my freshman or sophomore year. I don't think either year the varsity team lost. We lost one game my senior year, and I was a killer.
So that theme kind of carried into. It applies to today, which is crazy. So then the next step up was like, let's talk about your recruiting process. So, I could correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought you had told me all the D2 schools looking at you were like, he's definitely going D1. And all D1 schools looking at you were like, nah, he's not good enough, he's going to be D2.
Yep.
And then it came down to pretty much just Northeastern, right?
Yeah, it was. It wasn't even really Northeastern. There was pretty much no interest until I reached out on my own, and I emailed him because I remember him being at a showcase I was at, and I told him I was interested. He called me the next day, and this was October of my senior year, so they ended up offering me, but they had no scholarship money or anything, so I was a recruited walk-on to Northeastern, and it was pretty much my only offer. So that it worked out unbelievable, but at the time it was kind of like, man, am I going to be a college baseball player? And that's really what I wanted. So, but it ended up working out.
Are you a gambling man?
On myself.
Yeah, I was going to say right there, that was the biggest gamble you could have made, right? And you were 18.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But it wasn't even. I didn't really even have a choice.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, let's start reaching out to people and see if I can get something to happen on my own, because nothing was really happening.
I'm definitely not.
You got to be your own advocate.
Yeah.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Good job.
You believed in yourself, and you knew what you were capable of. So, for a young man to go up to a coach like that and just be like, "Hey, I want to play," and they're like, "What? All right."
Well, it was funny because I saw him at a tournament, and I hit a home run at the tournament, and I remember crossing home plate, and I was looking, like my parents were kind of standing there, it was like the bleachers, and I saw him with his Northeastern polo and Northeastern hat, and I'm like, oh, I would love to go to Northeastern, it's in Boston, and I was just waiting on a call, never came, and it was because he said that he didn't think that they could get me, But nobody was talking to me, so anybody could have got me at that point.
Oh, so he didn't believe that.
Yeah, I mean,
oh, wow.
that's what he said at that time. I mean, who knows if that's real or not.
So
but
he didn't even try? Is that what it was?
not at the time, not until I expressed interest to him.
Oh.
Yeah, so I sent him an email, and then he called me within a day. Like, hey, come up, tour the school, and then at the school that day, they offered me, but again, they had no scholarship money.
Okay.
I remember how pumped your dad was
Oh,
when
yeah.
that had happened.
Except the 60 grand a year he had to pay for that year.
Yeah, he told me the next day. He's like, I don't even know how this all happened.
Yeah, it was very quick. It was
Yeah.
It went from nothing to I'm committed within a week.
Oh, my God.
That was great.
And look at where we are now.
Yep.
So you get to Northeastern, and is a basically preferred walk-on.
Yep.
Not guaranteed time up there.
No.
You earned it.
Yeah.
You played a lot your freshman year.
I played every game.
Yeah.
I had a terrible fall, and we went into the winter practices, and I was getting better, but I still didn't think there was any chance I would start. I probably thought I was going to redshirt, and a kid got injured, an infielder, and they basically told there was like 3 of us kind of in a competition for it, and I had been working on my defense a lot, and they said all of our offenses were the same, but Vosler, you're winning the job because your defense is a little better. And that was like kind of a shock to me at the time because I was never known as a good defender. But I won that job because of that. So that hard work kind of paid off there. But then I ended up hitting really well that year. Got some accolades, and from then I think I played every game that I was in college for.
Dude, you were never a power hitter, and then what? Didn't you hit like 10 home runs your freshman year?
Yeah, I think it was like 8, but I went down every year.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Yeah, I went backwards for a while. Yeah, I had my best year freshman year actually, which is ironic, but still worked out.
So then you get drafted your junior year. Oh, you played short, second, and third, right, throughout college?
Yeah, so I started off that freshman year, that third baseman kind of got hurt, and I filled in there, and I was playing third for the beginning of that year. Then the second baseman got injured, so I shifted over to second. And then my sophomore year, I was going to play third again. I was going to be the third baseman, and the shortstop ended up quitting. So then I went and played short my next 2 years.
Wild.
Yeah, wild.
That helped get you drafted, though.
Probably.
You showed that you could play.
Yeah, I would say
anywhere.
so. I would definitely say it helped get me drafted. Just, shortstops usually are the most, one of the better, one of the more, I guess I would say athletes on the team, usually better defenders. And even though I was definitely not good enough to be a shortstop at the professional level, it kind of showed maybe some versatility to the scouts and stuff like that. So I'm sure that helped.
And then I remember the day you got drafted. I was getting my hair cut. We had MLB Network on, and I had my phone in my hand. I was like, all right. I was like, listen, I'm going to keep checking my phone while you're cutting my hair. He's like, oh, I'm checking the draft too. I was like, all right, yeah, whatever. Not knowing that we both know you. And then Franco, barber, was just like, oh, shit, this guy I know just got drafted. I was like, yeah, this guy I know I just got drafted too. He was like, well, who do you know? I was like, I've been training him for a while, Jason Vosler. He's like, get the fuck out of here. He's like, you gotta finish my haircut though.
Yeah.
He's like, no, seriously. He's like, how'd you know Jason? I was like, oh, and we just going back and forth. And he's like, oh yeah, I've known the kids like forever.
Yeah.
So that was crazy. Because then we texted you.
Yeah.
Right
I remember
after
that.
So you get drafted by the Cubs.
Mm-hmm.
Same situation, right? There's a star third baseman.
Oh yeah.
In front of you.
Yeah.
But that also allowed you to just focus on you.
Yeah, and it's kind of so Chris Bryant was probably in AAA when I first got drafted, AA or AAA. So he was so far ahead of me that it wasn't even a thought in my mind, especially because you don't know what type of player he's going to turn out to be. I mean, he was obviously a stud college and minor league player, but it's always different when you get to the majors. Obviously, he's a stud major league player now too. But that was so far from my mind. I was in Boise, Idaho, far from Chicago, far from home, and it felt like I was just playing a college summer baseball game. It didn't feel much different. It's
such a long road to get to the pros.
Exactly. So when you're
not even in your mind.
When you're there, you're legitimately 6 levels below the MLB. So it seems so far away there. Like, so you go from getting drafted and being on the top of the world, like you're going to be in the big leagues the next day, to go into these small cities, on the West Coast, so far away. And it was fun. I had a blast. And, I was still always working towards making it to the big leagues, but I wouldn't say I really felt like I was close until AA.
Yeah.
That's when I started to feel like, all right, like I'm seeing guys go straight from here to the big leagues, and then especially AAA, where 60, 70% of the guys have been in the big leagues at some point. So that's when you really feel like, all right, this can happen.
Remember when Jason got called up to AA?
Yeah.
He screwed up our vacation.
Yep. That's
Playing
true.
Single A in Myrtle Beach. And I'm like, hey,
You
heading
were
down
all
to Myrtle in
excited.
3 months.
All of us were so excited to go down there and
Yeah.
watch him play, right? And then
How many of us were... We rented a house, right? And there was...
and that was part of the plan too. That was actually the major
was
part
8
of the
of us.
plan.
There was 8 of us. I rented a minivan for the week. Jesus.
To come down and watch, right?
Yeah, and then it was like, you're like, yo, once you get
8
down
of us,
here,
right?
just hit us up, right? You're like, just hit me up. I'll have tickets for you at roll call. I'm like, oh, sweet. I was like, I don't mind paying for your tickets. All of a sudden, 3 days before we're about to fly down, boom.
Yep.
You're like, dude, I just got promoted. I have to be in Knoxville, right?
Yeah, Knoxville.
Yeah, I gotta be in Knoxville, Tennessee, in like, what was it, like 20 hours.
Yeah. Oh, they told me before a game I had to drive there right away. They said, pack up your apartment, go. Got there at 1 a.m, played the next day in Tennessee.
Oh my God.
It happens quick.
Yeah.
But my parents and everybody who visits me knows to buy insurance on flights. They have to.
I mean, it was a much needed vacation, so it still worked out great. But that was his.
We were very happy for you.
Yeah.
I mean, right? We
Yeah.
were very happy.
I was
We were
so
like,
pumped.
Ah, damn it.
It is crazy how quick it happens. Like one day it's just, I mean, I took batting practice. I did everything. Coming from batting practice, hey, go pack your car. You're going up to the play.
Oh my God.
All right. See you later.
Yeah.
I think the thing I was most upset about was the fact that not only did I want to see you play in Myrtle, but I wanted to take a picture and drop as a caption a Kenny Powers line.
Oh, yeah.
Because he also played in
At
Myrtle
that
Beach.
field.
Yeah,
The
at
exact
that
field,
field.
same locker room, everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Mermen.
Powers.
Yeah.
Wow.
Myrtle Beach Mermen. We had specialty jerseys, the Kenny Powers jerseys.
That's so
yeah.
dope. And then come up with the Cubs. You get Prospect of the Year. That was awesome. You were playing in Des Moines, right?
Yep. Des Moines, Iowa.
And then you get traded to San Diego,
Yeah.
where I remember reading the article from San Diego's manager saying, like, yeah, we're going to have open competition for third base. He mentioned your name as one of the guys that were supposed to compete. And then, what was it, 2 weeks later? They have a mega
Manny
deal.
Machado. Yep.
Manny Machado. Son of a bitch.
But I mean that's all part of it. I mean, when I got traded to San Diego, it was great because there seemed to be a clear path to the big leagues, and then a superstar gets signed there, and that's all part of it. I mean, everybody in the big leagues is really good.
Yeah.
So it's hard to break in, and it's even harder to stay there once you do break in. So I mean, that's kind of one of those things that it stinks, but at the end of the day, it's hard no matter what. It's not supposed to be an easy road there.
No, nothing's guaranteed in life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which is a great lesson for a lot of kids out there. So...
And that you got to put in the work, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Daddy ain't paying for your club travel team for you to get onto the pros by a handout.
Yeah, and no parents are calling major league teams, getting them to the major leagues. I guarantee that.
Right.
With today's kids, you never know. I'm sure they'll find a way.
We'll see.
And you can't expect them to be starting just because, right? You text the coach.
Yeah.
How come my son isn't starting? Or how
should
come my
text your
daughter
coach
isn't
as
starting?
your
Yeah,
dad,
dude.
or maybe
Text
I'll
the
DM
GM.
him
Yeah.
from a burner account.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might help.
Or when, right? They're not showing up for the off-season workouts
Yeah.
or showing up for practice and, slept in, sorry. Or whatever,
Yeah.
I don't know. We've heard it all. Sit down.
Did you have another question you wanted to ask?
No, I think we went over everything, right? What helps Jason get focused in season? Like
Yeah.
what helps you stay focused? And then we were talking about just those healthy habits that you practice to get you ready for the season or prep for a game. Like that we had discussed that before too, which I think Jason hit on all of those.
So in order, as far as your pro career so far, it was Boise, South Bend.
I think
Myrtle.
Raj has a question.
Right?
Seems
So
eager.
Boise,
Do you have a
South
question?
Bend, Myrtle, Knoxville, Des Moines, and El Paso.
Yep.
And every spring you've spent time with in Arizona, right?
Yeah. Cubs were in Mesa, Arizona, and Padres are in Peoria, Arizona.
Peoria.
Yeah.
All right. So of all those cities, what is the best place for Tinder?
That's a good question. I mean, not that I have too much experience, but
Ask
I would
for
say,
a friend.
I would say the bigger cities are always better, right? You kind of more fish in the pond type thing, right? You have a better. That's kind of the good part of minor league baseball too, or just professional baseball in general. As you move up the ladder, the cities get bigger.
There you go.
You know, cities get bigger, cities get cooler. You know, you play AAA, you play in Las Vegas, you play in Nashville, New Orleans. So, you know, you play in some big party cities as well too. So I would definitely say the bigger the city, the better your chance you got.
So if your average stays the same, but the cities keep getting bigger, the average winds up accumulating more hits, basically.
You would think so.
Yeah, because you get more at bats.
Yeah, I would think so, right?
So a 300 average with like 1,000 at bats is not going to be as much as a 300 average with 10,000 at bats.
Yeah, exactly.
So you hear that? Shoot or shoot, Jay.
Shoot or shoot.
All right, so Bumble. Wow, Braj, this dog is just knocking everything
It's
over.
fine, I got it.
Big hit on
It's all
Bumble.
part of the podcast.
I think they all got to be the same, right? It's just
I don't know how any of these work.
I would
barely
say
had MySpace when it was out, so I'm just fucking around here.
Yeah, from what people tell me, I would think the more people, the better chance you got.
Yeah.
More bites on the fishing line.
Raj, lay down.
He's going nuts over there.
Yeah. This dog just
Knocking
wants
pillows
to be-
off, knocking
He wants to be in the
microphones.
show.
Oh.
So,
I think he wants to ask Jason
yeah.
a question.
Once this
Ask
is
away.
published on YouTube, you guys are going to get a kick out of like, just the little bloopers that we just roll with.
I might have dressed nicer if I knew this was on camera.
I'll
Oh, it's not-
Photoshop
I'm
something.
kidding. I don't care.
Screw it, we're
It's
doing
all
it
about
live.
being real.
And big shout out to the Anger DJ, Desi Lombardo, for helping us out. Why do we
Yeah.
call him the Anger DJ? Because every goddamn time he was in here, he did nothing but break records when he was with us.
He was the
Love it.
silent killer.
Yes.
He just put it all out there. We didn't talk much, right? We just did.
Yeah, he just came to work, just like Jason.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just came to work. He's all business.
Thank you, Desi.
Um,
That's fine.
See, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Loved having you on as our first ever guest on the show.
I'm happy to be here.
What's ironic is, or actually hysterical, one of the next guests, it may not be in order, but one of the next athletes we'll have on is also a Bosco alum. And I don't think your guys' paths crossed, but he played pro soccer too, so that was great. So we'll also get to hear about his
Bosco
his
producing
journey,
great
and
athletes.
his Bosco glory days. So yeah, like to thank everybody so far for tuning into the first episode. Got a lot of downloads, a lot more than I expected, and didn't know that many people would actually listen. Desi, you checked the stats? We broke 100, right?
If we didn't break it, we're really close.
Yeah, it was like close. I thought it was gonna be like 20, and I was just like, I think 2 days ago we had like 24, and I'm like, oh shit, big time in it.
I think like on Christmas we got like 80s.
Yeah, we had a lot of downloads on Christmas. I was shocked. We that was a great gift to everybody,
Thank you for wanting to hear what we have to say.
and this awesome nasally voice of mine. So yeah, so on the next show, guys, if you're anybody listening, email us, DM us, anything that you may want to hear us talk about. You can reach us on Twitter and Instagram at ODFitnessNY. Jason, you want to put yourself out there, or you don't want to get stalked? It's up to you.
My JVos22 is my Twitter handle.
JVos22 on Twitter. Yeah, that's about it. We had a blast right, doing episode number 2. Even with the dogs causing a distraction. Holy crap. Braj shedded all over the place.
Well, we'll have to clean that up. That's
That
okay.
is hysterical.
I think, right, some
Overdrive
takeaways,
Fitness.
right? Some takeaways for today that
Yeah.
just fuck your goals, change your habits.
Fuck your goals,
create
change your
some good habits. And I think Jason is a prime example of that, is creating really healthy daily habits. It's led him to where he is today, and he continues to focus on that journey and taking those small steps. It brings you to, right, that big picture. He knows that maybe that's a big step, but it's really a small step, and he knows where he needs to go, and he puts in hard work every day.
That was a strong save to close the show. That was a big Mariano Rivera moment right there for you. I almost fumbled that one. Almost straight up Des Bryant did that fucking move right there. So, yeah. I mean, fuck your goals, change your habits sounds like a great next T-shirt for us. Maybe that'll run in the spring. What do you think, Braj?
Boom.
Boom. Boom, son.
Jason, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely,
That
it was
was
my pleasure.
awesome. Really awesome.
And, yeah, so tune in next week. And looking forward to hearing what you guys are willing to hear us talk about.
And I got to say, Titan and Braj love Jason.
Absolutely. love
They
Jason.
do. They love him. So, ladies, a dog lover here.
Plays pro ball, but don't go after
Yeah.
his money. I'll fucking kill him. All right, so thanks again, and we'll hear you guys, hear from you guys soon about what you want to hear us talk about, and just tune in next week. Thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.